Welcome Home, a podcast for veterans, about veterans by veterans, is a project of Willing Warriors and the Warrior Retreat at Bull Run.
Good morning. I'm Larry Ziliak, your host, Director of Culinary Services here at the Warrior Retreat at Bull Run. And today we're going to be talking with an amazing guest who is the co-founder of a retreat for veterans, combat veterans in Tennessee called Darkhorse Lodge. And our guest today is Gretchen Catherwood, Gold Star mother. I ran across this to see if there are any other retreats or lodges or something similar to what we have here at the Warrior Retreat at Bull Run. And I was really amazed by the work that they're doing and the whole philosophy and the whole everything that they've got planned for this retreat. It's going to be an amazing place. It already is an amazing place. But Gretchen, welcome to the podcast. We really appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about the background of how the retreat came to be. I know that it's you and your husband, Kirk, who are founders, and your son, Alec, was killed in 2010, I believe.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. October 14th, 2010.
He was a Marine. And I watched the video on your webpage. It's very moving. And I encourage everybody to watch it. And we'll talk about the webpage a little bit. But if you could just give us a little bit about the background of how where the idea came from.
Sure. So our son, like we talked about, was killed on October 14th, 2010. And his unit, which was the 3-5 Darkhorse unit, hence our name, they returned from Afghanistan in April of 2011. And so we went out for the remembrance ceremony, which was held on Camp Pendleton. On the helicopter pad up there, and it was really incredible. We met so many of our son's friends, some people that never knew him but were with him that day. The Navy corpsman who tried to save him, and then ended up stepping on an IED and losing both of his legs immediately following, and trying to help Alec. Anyway, so we met these men, and the image of looking in their eyes stuck with me for a really long time. And we moved down here to Tennessee in 2012 from our home in Northern Illinois. It was a bit too painful to stay in that area with all the memories and everything there. So we moved down here, and after meeting those young men, it really stuck with me. So I just kept thinking, what can we do? There's got to be something we can do for those men and women who come home from war. My husband is a combat veteran himself. My father was a Korean War veteran. So I know about living with combat veterans, but this was something altogether different after seeing the looks in their faces. So it was quite a long time, many months actually, of trying to figure out what we could do. And I came up with the idea of doing a retreat. And the original plan was to do it on our property at that time. We were going to do 25 small cabins. And my husband said, no, this is not something that we came here to do. We came down here to retire, not to work harder. But the idea didn't go away. It just stayed in my head and stayed in my head. And my daughter and I went to the dedication of a monument out on Camp Pendleton. And we spent some time with my son's friends, and it was in a parking lot at a restaurant there when they started talking. And one of them said, this is the first time I've been able to talk about that day, meaning the day that Alec had been killed, and their friend Joe Lopez also was killed that same day. And that was exactly why I had conceived of Darkhorse Lodge in the first place, because I know they cannot speak to other people about this. I know that, their high school friends don't understand, or people who have never been in combat, they just don't understand. And so on the plane on the way home, I said to my daughter, listening to those guys speak in the parking lot, really hit home with me, and I realized this is something that I have to do. And so I got home and I said to my husband, with or without you, this is what I'm doing. And as he has done many times in our marriage, he said, "Okay, I'm on board." So, so we found the property and we started building. We started raising money in 2014 when our 501c3 came through, and we are just now um, finishing up the last minute little details before our grand opening on the 23rd of this month. So in less than 3 weeks, we'll be opening our doors after raising money and building for 9 years. So
Wow.
we have, we have 25 bedrooms. We have 5 cabins with 5 bedrooms in each cabin.
Right.
And each one of those bedrooms has the name of one of the boys that was killed in our son's unit on the door. Really pretty metal signs that a friend and his welding class made for us. So then we have those 5 buildings. We have a 6th building, which is a staff cabin for what we plan to be our combat veteran employees to stay in. And they will be the ones to take our guests fishing on Kentucky Lake. And then we have the 7th building is a lower level walkout shower house, which also houses our laundry room and serves as a storm shelter as well. And then the upper level is our dining facility. The dining hall was named Bowman Hall for one of our board members, Mike Bowman. His son, Tim, who was with the Illinois National Guard, came home from Iraq in 2005 and had quite a few difficulties, and on Thanksgiving Day took his life.
Wow.
And so since Tim is kind of our target audience, we're hoping to prevent, additional suicides, of which there are too many. So we decided it would be fitting that since he took his life on Thanksgiving Day, and we are hoping to prevent any more, suicide, Bowman Hall would be the appropriate name for it. So that's what we've got, 7 buildings, and we're opening in less than 3 weeks.
Wow. Open to the public, the ribbon cutting?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. It's from 11 to 4 on September 23rd.
Okay, great. And when do you think you'll start to host guests?
Well, our first retreat would be scheduled for September 26th through the 30th. It'll be our retreats will be Tuesday through Saturday. Tuesday they would arrive. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday would be full days here, fishing on the lake, having bonfires in the evening, getting together in the evenings. And then Saturday they would leave, sometime before 4 is checkout. We were closed on Sundays and Mondays. And then we'll also be closed November through November, December, and January.
Okay.
Just because fishing is not the best in those months. And so we would have 5 weeks available this year. We have no reservations as yet for this year due to the fact that it is so late in the year.
Sure.
Most people have already gotten their vacations in. But we already have reservations for next year. So we'll reopen in February and go through October each year. Some of the reservations we have next year, we have 25 women combat veterans coming in May. So I'm really excited about that.
Right.
I think that'll be pretty cool. I have a feeling we will host more groups than individuals.
Sure.
Just because it's, we've gotten a lot of feedback from people who said they would love to have, 15 or 20 of the people they served with come at the same time. And so we have a lot of people working on getting those types of events together, getting a hold of their friends and working out dates and things. So I think we'll really pick up next year. But yes, we will be open for guests as of September 26th for 5 weeks until we shut down in November.
Right. And we've found that today's veteran so different than previous conflicts in that they don't reach out to get that tribe or that that sense of belonging to the older, more established physical locations like the American Legion and the VFW, because they're finding that online through social media platforms where they can get together and get that self-help kind of counseling and tribe online with the very people that they served with. Or we also find that these groups grow organically. We enjoy bringing those kind of groups to the retreat because they've been online for a year or more, but they've never met in person. And so bringing them together in person for a week allows them to solidify that bond and then go back to that online self-help platform that suits them well because they live all over the place. And I think that it sounds like Darkhorse Lodge would be perfect for those type of groups. That's just, it's just great. Now, describe the rooms to me because I want to really talk about who is coming. And so what is a typical, are all the rooms the same?
All the rooms are identical.
Okay.
Yep. All 5 buildings are exactly the same. We have 2 bedrooms and a hall bath on the left-hand side of the hallway. And then we have 3 bedrooms on the right-hand side of that hall. And at the end of that hallway is our great room. So in that great room, we don't have TVs in the bedrooms, by the way. And that's specially designed so that people aren't so comfortable in there that they just hang out in there all day. Because quite frankly, they can do that at home. And so at the end of our great room, we have a table where they can do, games, cards, puzzles, that sort of thing. We have a sofa and a love seat and a TV in our great room. We don't have anything like streaming services or Dish Network or anything like that. Quite frankly, we don't even have internet because all of our buildings are metal. And so trying to get internet inside the building is sort of like trying to get internet in a Faraday box, quite frankly. And then we have a small kitchenette in there, a small refrigerator, microwave, coffee maker, that sort of thing. We don't have showers in the buildings because we have our shower facility. We have our shower house, which is directly across the parking area, or not the parking area, but the gravel area. And then we have a small half bath off of our great room. And that door to the great room closes. So if people are trying to get some sleep, they can sleep while other people in the great room are, playing cards or games or whatever. So it's just a community room. We do have one long deck that runs the length of all 5 buildings with 2 ramps going up to that deck. And then because the level is a little bit different from the elevation is kind of different from the first 3 cabins than it is to the last 2, there's a ramp going from those decks also. So it is one long continuous ramp, one long continuous deck with ramps leading up to it. And then going back into our big field, we have a big fire area, fire pit. My husband just finished horseshoes pit last weekend. We'll also do a workout pavilion that won't be available this year yet because we've been working on building the facility itself. So next year we will have our workout pavilion. And we have, 5 or 6 bag sets, cornhole sets, and we'll have a washers game and that sort of thing. So we have a really big field with woods that surround it. And then next year we'll also have trails that go through the woods that go up to what we call the bluffs, which is a really pretty area back up in the back of the property through the woods. It's very nice. So there, trails and stuff that people can walk up to that area called the bluffs. So it's quite relaxing and very, very peaceful.
Sure. And the room itself, how many beds are in each room?
One. There is 1 queen bed, a luggage bench in the closet, a nightstand, and a mirror. Just a very basic single bedroom. Each room has its own key-tack unit, so they can, like you'd see in a hotel, they control their own heat and air conditioning.
Right.
And then a window. It's a basic room, but comfortable. And each bed also has a handmade quilt by quilting groups. We have had many quilting groups involved who wanted to participate and offer something cozy for our guests and something warming and welcoming. And believe me, nothing here is red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
People assume that we wanted everything red, white, and blue. That was just the opposite of what we're looking for.
Yeah. And it's the warrior by themselves, or can they come with their spouse, or how does this work?
It's the warrior by themselves. However, 2 or 3 weeks per year, we will have couples week, whereby they can bring their significant other. During the day, our guests would go do their fishing. We have 2 brand new pontoon boats. So they'll be doing their fishing on the boats, and then their guest will go do their thing during the day. We can have different outings into the local area. If people want to go to the range, they can go to the range and shoot. We don't have a range here for obvious reasons. And that so like I said, a couple of weeks a year we'll have couples week. And then we'll also have a couple of weeks, probably one in the spring and one in the fall, where service veterans will be welcome rather than combat veterans. Because though combat veterans are in a unique position to understand what other combat veterans have gone through, regardless of war or conflict, service veterans haven't been there. But that doesn't mean we thank them any less. So we are deeply, deeply grateful for everyone's service. And because they didn't, in some people's words, get to go to combat, we did want to be able to have the opportunity to welcome service veterans as well. So we will have a couple of service veterans weeks.
If a spouse is designated as a non-medical attendant, can they come and join the veteran since it is a queen bed? And
They can come, but we have a couple of bedrooms in our staff cabin that are set aside for caregivers. So they can come, but they would need to stay in a separate room in our caregivers room.
Okay. How would it work with male and female veterans? I know you want to bring in an all-female group, but let's say you do have some female veterans and some male veterans. Are they separated out cabin-wise or?
Nope, not unless they want to be.
Okay. And
if they choose to be, that's fine. We do have our half bath in the great room that is also designated as our unisex bathroom, unless a woman is in a wheelchair, in which case she would need to use the hall bath as well, because that's the one that's wheelchair accessible.
Sure.
But and it's not necessarily that I want to host all women veterans. It's just that these 25 women choose to come by themselves.
Yeah.
If women come and they would rather be in their own cabin, that's fine too. We can set aside cabin 1 for women that week.
Yeah.
The showers, we have 6 down one side of our building and 6 down the other side, separated by a concrete wall. Now that concrete wall doesn't go up to the ceiling because of airflow concerns, we manage to make sure we keep adequate airflow.
Yeah.
However, because of privacy reasons, I asked my husband to install a privacy screen so that nobody can put, if we have men on one side and women on the other, we can't have a man with a selfie stick or a camera or be able to hoist himself up and look over. You would have to be, well, it's impossible to look over the edge. And so both doors lock, and we have signs on them with a sliding cover that shows men or women. So if we have women here, they will use one side of the showers and the men will use the other side, and the doors lock.
Okay. And where are you? What is the policy on dogs? I know, I'm sure service dogs are allowed, but what about comfort dogs or other animals?
Service dogs only.
Service dogs only. Okay. Good.
Yep. We will have a camp dog probably next year. We're looking into rescue dogs, just to have a dog that's, going to come in and out of all the buildings and just kind of hang out with the vets. But people can't bring their pets from home or anything like that. We're just not cut out for that kind of but service dogs obviously are welcome.
Sure. And you are located in Springville, Tennessee, and
Yep, Springville.
Yeah, Springville. Sorry. What's confusing to me is that it sounds like you go fishing on Kentucky Lake. Oh.
Yep.
Okay. Is this?
That is correct.
Yeah, and so I thought you were in Kentucky for a while there.
No, Kentucky Lake goes both. It goes through Kentucky and Tennessee.
I say so.
A huge lake. Yep. There's an area called Land Between the Lakes, and we're very, very close to Land Between the Lakes. LBL is a really popular recreation area, and actually, this is a real famous fishing area. There's quite a few national bass tournaments. A lot of bass fishing. Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I've made a nuisance out of myself going to some of those tournaments and putting brochures on people's windshields in the parking lot and going and speaking to groups of fishermen, approaching them just like a cold call.
Yeah.
They don't see me coming.
Wow. What's the community support like down there?
Community support, we are gaining in community support. Originally, they really didn't know who we were. And, we're Northerners who moved down south, just like so many others in this area. And they were a little bit skeptical. And I think the reason they were skeptical is because there have been so many different groups that people have donated money to who just didn't do what they said they were going to do.
Sure.
And so once we started building and once we started hiring local contractors and, taking pictures, it's funny because my husband at the beginning wanted to raise all the money first and then begin to build. And I said, I think people just don't want to see a bank book. They don't want to see how much money we're raising. They want to see progress. They want to see with their eyes where their money is going.
Yeah.
And so every time, when we raised enough money for the framing, we did the framing. When we had raised enough for the, electricity, we did all that. We did it in batches and by trade. And so during COVID, when prices went sky high, he said, I've never been so glad to have been so wrong because number one, people really love walking through these buildings, even before they had roofs on them. They really just loved coming to see the facility and get a feel for it in person. And then they could speak intelligently on it when they told other people about it because they had been here.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact then that prices went so sky high. Had we waited, we probably couldn't do this now. It just got so prohibitive cost-wise.
Yeah, we're building a 6-bedroom house now on the property with a 2,000 square foot activity room, and it's $1 million.
Oh my!
It's $1 million.
Oh sure.
So, thank God.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, we had Penn Fed give us a donation of $500,000, but we had to raise another $500,000, and that just gets us an empty house. We still have to furnish.
Isn't that something?
So you don't even think about that.
Yes.
So we have a great program called Make a House a Home, and we're inching towards what we need. But yes,
well, that's wonderful.
And our whole focus for that house is different. It's training. It's a lot of groups coming out for moral injury. We just hosted our first summer camp for teenagers, where they were taught a curriculum about 9/11, and each of the instructors was a veteran. So we're doing a lot. We've got a lot.
Oh, wow. Programs. How impactful.
Yeah. We've got a lot more programs planned for 2024, but it's a struggle. But our golden rule when we talk to people was never, can you help us or give us money? It was always, come out and see the retreat. Come out and see what we're doing, because it's totally different. You can talk to you blue in the face, but until they get there and they see it,
that's right.
That's a game changer, and that's where we have the most success. And
I was just going to use those words. It is a game changer.
Yeah, you guys as well.
Yeah, we are a much, much, much smaller scale than what you're doing. We are literally a mom and pop shop here, and Pop works outside the home. So, and for the first 4 years that we were on this property, he was building our home while working full time. So the first 4 years, he really wasn't involved with the lodge much at all. Now in the past 3 years, he's been way more hands-on. He does a lot of the work down there himself. However, he is a sheriff's deputy as well.
Yeah.
So he works, outside in the community, and this is what I do. But we are just two people. We don't have big sponsors. We don't have big, they're big to us.
Right.
But we are not a Wounded Warrior Project kind of place. We are not, one of these gigantic corporations or 501c3s that have that kind of support. We just don't. However, the small supporters that we do have mean everything to us.
Sure.
We literally have a woman on the next road. She's never even been here, but she lives on the road over from us, a couple miles away. She sends me $3 a month, $3 a month. And that $3 means the world to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That $3, because I think to myself, this woman has $3 to give and she chose to give it to us. That really means something. So to her, that $3 is worth way more than the $20,000 worth of plumbing fixtures that Kohler gave us, because to them, $20,000 worth of fixtures is nothing. To her, $3 is everything.
Yeah.
So this is what we're raising money on: lemonade stands. We had a little girl in town who did a lemonade stand 3 years in a row and raised $1,000 at a lemonade stand for us. That's how we're getting to our $1.5 million that we've raised so far.
Yeah.
And we've only raised $1.5 million in 9 years.
Yeah.
Nothing
Yeah.
in 9 years. But we've done it 10 and 25 and 50 and $100 at a time without big sponsors.
Sure.
We have the Marine Vets Motorcycle Club out of Illinois, all their chapters. I mean, they've adopted us. And without them, we wouldn't be doing this. We wouldn't be doing this without the American Legion riders here in Tennessee. They are phenomenal supporters.
Right.
You know, and I go to a vendor event and I sell $50 worth of merchandise.
Yeah.
And that's how we're doing it. So it's it's $5 at a time
I know.
is how we've done this.
You know, we
And and as you know, it's rough. And we don't have the employees yet.
yeah.
We thought we would. We thought people would, jump at the opportunity to have a couple of maybe some single combat veterans who could use a place to live. You know, they would have support here. They would be able to go fishing all day and be able to communicate with other combat. And we're just not finding it. But nobody's finding employees right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Volunteer wise, what about volunteers? How many?
We do have some. We do have, as typical with any volunteer organization or charity organization, you have a lot more people who say they will than those who actually show up.
Sure.
And it's not because they have bad intentions. They really, really mean well. And they intend to come help. They truly do.
Yeah.
But then life gets in the way. You know, they have baseball games that they have to go to. They have, they have work. They have other things. And so we have some people who stop by to help for sure.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of people who say they will, and we'll see. And we can't rely on volunteers. We had one woman who recommended that we run the entire place with volunteers. And I said, oh, if we could, that would be great, but that's not possible.
Well, we're pretty fortunate up here in Northern Virginia. We have a huge veteran population. So a good majority of our volunteers at the retreat, the grounds team is completely all volunteer. Our guest state coordinators are all volunteer. In fact, we have one full-time employee, which is our executive director, and then 6 of us who are part-time that work full-time, but that's it. Everything else is done by volunteers.
That's wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait to come visit your facility. I really want to come see it.
Oh,
I might do that during our closed months this year.
Well, yeah, or if you can get up in May, we're going to have the ribbon cutting on the new Grand Lodge, May 18th. So that's a possibility. So while we're
something to look forward to.
Oh yeah, well, it's going to be a show.
It's exciting.
Yes, we really are excited about it, and
oh, that's cool. I need a you. That's what I need. I need a you here at the lodge. I need a you who can make less money and live here. That's what I need. That's what I need. I mean, we're offering a salary. It's not a huge salary, but it's a salary and free room and board.
Yeah,
free room and board these days. That's huge.
Well, I have free room and board here. My wife lets me stay here at the house, but
there you go.
But
okay, that's funny.
Yeah. So while we're talking about donations and raising money, I want to talk about the webpage. Okay, so for our listeners, the webpage is darkhorselodge.org. And when you land on that webpage, you will see in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a button that says donate. And I want our listeners to click on that button, and it is super simple to donate. A little box is going to pop up. You just put how much you want to donate in there. You click continue, and you can do by credit card. You can use PayPal. PayPal is super easy, and just click on it. It recognizes you as a PayPal account holder, and boom, it's less than 5 seconds. So right off the bat, I'd encourage everybody to go and make a donation, because this is an incredible facility. It's going to do amazing work. It is certainly something that's needed. I know when you watch the video, you talk about the number of veteran suicides that happen. And we know, depending on the research and the source of the research, it's anywhere between 17 and 24 a day, which even on the low end, if we accept the VA 16.8, it's still way too many. It's just too many. In fact,
one is too many.
One is too many. And then you just look at suicide across the board, and you're talking about 182 Americans a day. So it's a public health issue for sure, and it's a serious veteran issue
Yeah.
as well. And
Yeah.
we've developed some resources to help with that, and I'm going to send you some of that in the mail. You have a fundraiser coming up, is that right?
We do. Actually, it's funny that you mentioned Trek for Troops earlier because that's what I was doing last night and this morning before I spoke with you is updating our website to include pictures from last year's Trek and updating the paperwork for this year's Trek. Yes, it's the first weekend in November. It's either the first or second weekend, but we've pretty much stuck to the first weekend in November, and it's across the country. We encourage people to get sponsors, create a team, or trek by themselves. I mean, originally we planned on having 100 miles walked in every state. You know what? We're not as particular about that anymore. We just want people to get out and move for veterans and um, form a team or do it by themselves. They can ride a bike, they can ski, they can swim, they can walk, they can wheel if they're in a chair. Um, and just get out there and move in a city park or on a country road or on a track or in a gym where you are, you can walk,
Right.
you can get sponsors. The money comes directly to the lodge. It couldn't be easier. So yeah, so I actually started our classy.org. I updated that campaign last night. So it's a brand new 2023 Trek for Troops campaign. And that's really easy to do also. You just click get started on our Trek for Troops page, which is linked to our website. And it's super, super easy. Last year we raised $66,000. The year before we raised $74,000.
Wow.
And it's become a huge thing. We have a lot of people who do it year after year after year, and we don't have a Virginia team yet.
Wow.
Just saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, Michigan has done it every year. And walking, I mean, you can do that anywhere. And even if you can't walk, you can move somehow. We have people in chairs that come out. We have babies that are, strapped to their father's chest and they go out. We have one girl that swims. My sister one year skied in Colorado.
Yeah. Wow. We're having a fundraiser this weekend, our Warrior Ride, which we do annually. It's a bike ride, a pedal bike ride. And I met an amazing Marine yesterday named Joe who was in an IED explosion that burnt most of his body. And he was in a hospital bed for 8 months.
Oh,
He was had a tube in his mouth, couldn't speak for a month and a half, laid in bed and just watched TV. He had a TV on, and he talked about how the commercials drove him nuts. But he said it was because he was a Marine that he survived that he had the mental ability to survive that, and
fortitude.
And to help him with his recovery, he runs. So he came to us and said, I'd like to run this route that everybody else is biking. So you're going to run 13 miles on Saturday. And we're like, well, the heat and we're really concerned about you. And he's like, you don't have to be concerned about me. I'm a Marine. He says, I run nearly...
He doesn't want your concern.
No. He said, I run almost 100 miles a day. So he's going to be running.
Well, Joe, if you're listening, thank you so much for for your service, Joe. Thank you, Joe, and Semper Fi. And by the way, you might not be concerned about him, but just give him a box of crayons at the end so he can have a snack. He'll be good to go.
Yeah, he'll enjoy that. Yeah, so we're going to have him out there running for everybody in the soldier recovery unit that can't run.
That's wonderful.
So,
oh, Joe, that's great.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. And that's what we get. We have people who show up and do the trek. And again, we used to do 100 miles. Now it's, do what you can. Do a mile if you can. Yeah. We have a core group of people who get together in Byron, Illinois, which is where we moved from, which is where we were living when our son was killed. And I go up there for the past several years. I've gone up there and done it. And they trek. Our event is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They extend it to Thursday. And so what they do is they do 40 on Thursday, 40 miles they walk on Thursday, 30 Friday, 20 Saturday, and 10 on Sunday. Last year I did 96 with them. And Why I didn't do those last 4 miles, I do not know. But I'm trying to get 100 this year. I'm going to get my 100 by myself. And last year it was pouring rain and cold. Walking is easier than running. I couldn't do what Joe's doing. I'm not a runner. I wouldn't run if you were chasing me with a knife. I just, no. I'll walk fast. So yeah, we would encourage as many people from as many states as possible to get involved in the trek. Even if you walk a mile, it's the next road over ladies $3 check. You know what I mean? That's what it is. It's
every little bit,
every penny.
For sure.
It does. It does. And it sounds like a platitude, but it's true.
No.
Every penny counts.
Well, and you never know who you're going to talk to and how they can help. I remember when we were remodeling the original house, one of our ambassadors was out at a motorcycle place. They were having a fundraiser, and he called me and he said, "Oh, boy, if they call next year, let's just tell them we can't do it. It was horrible. I only talked to about 7 people all day. It was terrible." And then a week later, lady called, said, "Hey, I talked to, Jeff at the motorcycle thing, and our company wants to provide all the appliances for the house, 17 appliances." They were a builder. They leveraged their association with General Electric, purchased 17 appliances for the house at cost. It was still a $38,000 donation, but it was one of the 7 people that he talked to. So you never know. You never know.
Well, and I've said this from the very beginning. I say you never know who the next person that you talk to will be the difference between, $1 million donation and a $5 donation. You don't know if that $5 donation couldn't turn into something else from another group of somebody that they know.
Yeah.
I always say that I will talk to everybody who will listen and some who won't. Yeah. I actually chased a woman down a sidewalk one time at a vendor event. And I said, "Ma'am, have you heard about Darkhorse Lodge?" And she just kept walking. I said, "Let me tell you about Darkhorse Lodge." And I walked with her and kept up with her. And my friend goes, "Oh, no, here we go." She knew what was coming. Yeah. That lady ended up giving me $20 to shut me up.
Yeah. Well, we had
it worked.
We had a little tour group of some very sweet little old ladies from a women's group one time, and so the woman gave us $10, and she said, here's $10, and she says, "I'm going to talk to my son. You need some grills here. You need new grills. That grill doesn't look that good." And a week later, the son showed up with 2 brand new Weber Genesis 6-burner grills.
That's wonderful.
So it was like that $10 donation. Really,
that's wonderful.
So, my old man used to say, "You got to kiss frogs.
That's right.
Prince." Well, listen, this has been...
You got a prince, that is for sure.
That is for sure. Been great talking to you. The work you guys are doing is amazing. I'd really like to get down there someday if we're driving around, but we don't have the time to do much of anything. But
I know it.
Yeah.
Don't I know it?
Hopefully everything goes great with the ribbon cutting here in a couple of weeks. And again,
thank you.
The webpage is darkhorselodge.org. It's easy to donate. Go check it out. Watch the video. And then after you watch the video, click on that donate button and help them out, because they're just doing amazing work. So, Gretchen, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for your time. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to tell others about the lodge. And I thank all these veterans out there for their service, for doing what I could not or would not do, and what most Americans could not or would not do. So from the bottom of my heart, I mean it when I say that I wouldn't be here without our veterans, and that's just fact.
Yeah.
And so, I will do what I can for the rest of my life for those who did so much for me.
Great. For our listeners, thank you for listening. And if you have any comments or questions, you can reach us at podcast@willingwarriors.org. We'll have another episode next Monday morning at 5 a.m. Till then, thanks for listening.
The Welcome Home podcast is brought to you by Willing Warriors, a nonprofit organization serving active duty service members and veterans since 2012. To learn more, please visit our webpage at willingwarriors.org.